Steam Deck, a portable gaming hardware developed by a company, Valve, which owns the world's largest game ESD, has been unveiled. They are already receiving pre-orders on the official website, ahead of the release in December. In this video, let me introduce you to some of the titles that were already released on Nintendo Switch but failed to optimize, or some of the titles that's a shame it didn't perform better. Steam Deck is expected to provide better optimization and quality beyond Nintendo Switch. Okay, then, shall we get started? Number 11. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. The game is played from a first-person perspective and most of its levels are navigated on foot. The story is arranged in chapters, which players complete in order to progress. A binary choice in the prologue alters the game's entire storyline. Some characters and small plot points are replaced throughout the timelines. The game features a variety of weapons, most of which can be dual-wielded. A cover system is also present. Number 12. Outlast 2. Shortly after the release and popularity of Outlast, Red Barrels announced the sequel. Outlast 2 is a first-person survival horror game that, like its predecessors Outlast and Outlast Whistleblower, is a single-player campaign. It is set in northern Arizona. The game continues the found footage characteristics from the first game. The player controls the investigative journalist Blake Langerman, who investigates a dilapidated rural area in Supai, near the western edge of the Colorado Plateau. Number 13. Hellblade. Senua's Sacrifice. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is divided in two types of gameplay. The first allows Senua to walk freely and interact with her surroundings. Those parts focus on either story via voiceover, as Senua travels from one location to another, or the resolution of a puzzle or challenge of some kind to progress further. It does not feature any heads-up display or tutorials. Instead, Druth, Furies, or the Darkness, provide audio indications on game mechanics, and how to progress through levels and puzzles. Number 14. Dragon's Dogma. Dark Arisen. Dragon's Dogma is an action role-playing game set in an open-world environment and played from a third-person perspective. The player is able to select between various vocations: fighter, strider, mage, warrior, mystic knight, ranger, assassin, sorcerer and magic archer. Gender choice and appearance settings are also available. The vocation, or class system, changes gameplay and tactical options available to the player. For example, the fighter has abilities that focus on hack and slash combat, and the strider is skilled at climbing large enemies. The game was designed to be playable even by those who are not skilled at action games. Number 15. Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 is a third-person shooter with an over-the-shoulder perspective. Players can use several weapons including handguns, shotguns, automatic rifles, sniper rifles, and grenade launchers, as well as melee attacks. Players can make quick 180-degree turns to evade enemies. The game involves boss battles, many of which contain quick-time events. Number 16. Starlink. Battle for Atlas. Starlink Battle for Atlas is an action-adventure game third-person perspective set in a fictional star system around the star Atlas. Players pilot spaceships to traverse different parts of the Atlas system, both in outer space and within a planet's atmosphere. Within the story, players meet with different alien species and form alliances with them in order to accomplish various goals. Forming alliances changes the game's world state, which then changes the gameplay experience. In the game, the player can use their spaceships to freely explore the open Atlas system.
Really get devastating results, like the frost vortex.
No Cyclops. I've never seen anything like it. Those nova crystals on its back look remarkably hot. You may need to cool it down to have an effect.
Number 17. Alien Isolation. It is a single-player action-adventure game with emphasis on stealth and survival horror features. The player controls Amanda Ripley from a first-person perspective, and must explore a space station and complete objectives while avoiding, outsmarting and defeating enemies. Objectives range from activating computers to collecting certain items or reaching a specific area in the game. The player can run, climb ladders, sneak into vents, crouch behind objects to break the line of sight with enemies, and peek over or lean around to gain view. The player also has the ability to go under tables or inside lockers to hide from enemies. Number 18. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is set in an open-world environment, in which the player can roam around and explore at will. In its opening, the game notes that it does not hold the player's hand, and as such features very little by way of explanation to the mechanics. To piece together the story, the player must solve the deaths of the Carter family. Upon finding a dead body, the player can use paranormal abilities in order to recreate the events. First, it must sense where important objects are located and restore the scene to its original state, and then reassemble the timeline of events tied to a certain death. Number 19. Red Faction. Guerrilla Remastered. Red Faction Guerrilla is a third-person shooter game set in an open-world environment. The player takes the role of Alec Mason as he assists the Red Faction to overthrow the oppressive Earth Defense Force (EDF) on Mars. Developer Volition changed the camera perspective to help the player see and appreciate the surroundings as they are destroyed. Number 20. Warframe. Warframe is an online action game that includes elements of shooters, RPG, and stealth games. In Warframe, players control members of the Tenno, a race of ancient warriors who have awoken from centuries of suspended animation far into Earth's future to find themselves at war in the planetary system with different factions. The Tenno use their powered warframes along with a variety of weapons and abilities to complete missions.
This one is stronger than the rest. Lock the area down. This Tenno is mine.
Okay, that's it. That was the games on Steam Deck, expected to perform better than on Nintendo Switch. Thanks for watching. This is Bobtendo Game TV. Please stay tuned.